So Rashawn Slater has been a person that we've been looking at here lately as the potential or consensus number 8 pick by most draft analysts, from NFL Network to ESPN, Fox Sports, you name it, right? And we had a mock draft situation on Sunday with the other Panther YouTubers, which was incredible, mind you. A link to that will be in the description. Shout out for Panther Nation Podcast hosting that and having everyone on. But once we got around to talking about Rashawn Slater at that number 8 pick, things got a little bit interesting, to say the least. And so you can check that out for yourself. But what I wanted to do is bring in someone who does research, obviously on a major network, and take a look at what Chris Sims has to say about the Rashawn Slater potential in the NFL. Now, mind you, Rashawn Slater to him ranked at number 5, but I'll let him tell you what he thinks.
Number 5, we go to the Big Ten. And this may be a little bit of a surprise because I think a lot of people have this guy as the number 2 offensive lineman off the board. You have him as 5, Rashawn Slater.
I know.
Northwestern.
Listen, he's one of the harder evals for me. I like Rashawn Slater. I do. I like all these guys. I want that to be known here. I really do.
They're in your top 6.
Yeah, this is a good group. And there's a lot that I like about Rashawn Slater. I mean, first off, like compared to Tevin Jenkins, he's a much greater athlete. This is one of the greater athletes at the position in the draft.
That's true. Rashawn Slater is a very powerful person. Put up, I think, the 225 33 times. 6'4", 300 pounds. Ox. Anybody that can manhandle Chase Young, which is kind of his claim to fame, you got to put some respect on his name as far as his overall strength is concerned.
There's no doubt about that. His ability to run, get up to the second level, do all of those things are really, really damn good. Strength as a blocker altogether, really good. Maybe not as impressive as some of the other top guys we're going to talk about, but there's real like twitch and get off to the athlete overall. So that's what I do love about the guy. Of course, wins a lot of battles as far as like getting off the ball and doing all of that stuff, but can get high at times, I thought, with just like someone in front of him. You got to dig them out and move them and do that stuff.
That's something we heard a lot during that mock. Hand placement, which is everything, especially if you're a guard. Obviously, it's going to be important anywhere. But at left tackle, I don't think these are things that we would necessarily question about a surefire left tackle. That's just my opinion.
And he can stop the drive of his legs on contact. So that's where there's some negatives when you talk about that. And then you get back into, yes, the feet are great and all of those things. But the anchor and long arms are a concern for me with Slater.
That's the biggest concern with everyone. Arm length. Now, it doesn't seem like a lot, but take this for instance. Penei Sewell, arm length, 33.25 inch. Cameron Irvin, who we just picked up, arm length, 34 inches. Someone that we're all too familiar with, Jordan Gross, arm length, 33.25. Same as Penei Sewell. It's a real thing.
Slater is a guy that I came away, and listen, I know that you're about to ask me about the Chase Young game.
Yes.
That's all everybody wants to talk about with Slater is the Chase Young game. The Chase Young game. The Chase Young game. I get it.
You want me to ask you about it?
Well, not yet.
Okay.
But that as a whole, I do look at Slater as a guy that I feel like can less play tackle than Tevin Jenkins. I think he is more of a true guard this way.
There lies the biggest concern at the 8th pick. Because if we can slide him in the guard, yes, would it be a good pick and a value pick to put him there? 100%. But is that the position of true need? No. We need a left tackle. We need a surefire left tackle. Now, there's no guarantees in this draft. Obviously, we talked about Cameron Irvin just a minute ago. He ends up on our roster. He was a first-round pick at one time, right? So there's no guarantees for anybody in this draft. Now, obviously, the overall consensus is that we would hope that Penei would fall to us because Penei is a left tackle, right? He started as a freshman at left tackle. The first time an Oregon player had started at left tackle in 20 seasons, right? So he's a special guy, left tackle, right? But I don't know that I'm willing to put my eggs in the basket of a tweener. I want a guy that I know for a fact can come in and start at that position. And these are real concerns, even though this guy is definitely going to be a value pick. And for all we know, the reality is that Rashawn Slater may not even be there, right? So if we look at the draft board, we got Jacksonville at 1, New York at 2. We know that's quarterback. Jacksonville and New York at 1 and 2 is quarterback. San Francisco at 3, likely quarterback. But then the draft really starts at Atlanta. Atlanta could take Panay if they decide they want to stick with, Matt Ryan for the next couple of years. Cincinnati would be my consensus pick to take Panay or Rashawn, either one. The Miami Dolphins. I mean, everyone thinks that they're going to grab a receiver, but the reality is that they could grab someone to protect Tua, especially if he's going to be the guy that you're running with for the next couple of years. The Detroit Lions. They have far more positions of need, but why wouldn't you want to shore up the offensive line? Because it's going to increase the ability of the running game, which is going to set up the pass. And you got pass protection with a new left tackle in Panay or Rashawn. And then comes us at 8. So who knows for certain if we're going to be in that position to even draft him. But by all mock accounts, he's going to be there.
I do. And I like his ability and his athleticism and all that. And despite the Chase Young game and all that, there's a few too many other games where I do see him get pushed back at the tackle position.
There was a certain someone on the mock draft who has been screaming that for a long time, right? And the reality is that when you look at some of his tape, which I haven't had a chance to watch in full, I've seen some great tape from this guy. And look, we could argue this forever, but the reality is that the tape is the tape. I think that it's easy to show up. Not easy. I don't want to say that because that wouldn't be accurate. And I don't want to diminish who he is as a player and how hard he's worked to get to this level, right? I'm a YouTuber. This guy's really out there. But there is something to be said when you show up for the guy that is consensus #1 overall pick, potentially the best player in his draft. And you know what? I'm going to show up today and I'm going to make that guy look bad. And you know what? He did that. There were a few plays that you could look at that looks like he was holding Chase Young. There were a few bull rush plays where, Chase Young may have pushed him back a little bit. But for the most part, this guy dominated Chase Young in that game. But you would want to see that not just against Chase Young, but the guy that will be selling insurance in another year that you're facing on the defensive end when you're playing against, whomever, right? You want to see that consistently. That's not always the case with him.
And I just go, well, they're only going to get bigger and stronger in the NFL.
Facts.
And that worries me just a little bit. Again, this is a starting guard. Maybe he can do the tackle position. I just don't think it's a big enough human being to play tackle in the NFL. If you're going to be this size at 304 pounds, then you need to have incredible arm length.
And see that I agree with that. So let's look at it here. 6'4", 304 pounds, 33-inch arms, 10.5-inch hand size, which is actually bigger than Penei Sewell. Reps, Penei Sewell went, I think, 25 or something to that degree. Rashawn, goes 33. 40-yard dash is a wash. As a matter of fact, Jordan Gross, Penei, Cam Irvin kind of all ran that same around that 40. I think Cam Irvin ran like a 5, right? So, and I'm only comparing him to Cam Irvin because of who, where he is and not in the position with us now. Like he's here with us. So, you got to stack him against what's, currently here on our roster. 33-inch vertical jump. Nothing to me. I mean, if you want to look at him in comparison to Penei, there are things that do stand out. But there's a couple of things that you can't teach that don't stand out, right? You can't teach 6'5". You can't teach 331. That's Penei. Rashawn 6'4", 304. I myself 6'5", 320 plus, right? There is, man, listen, big guys are built differently. No two are built the same, right? So you're going to see, especially at that left tackle position. Now, this guy is super athletic. And again, I don't want to take away from who he is as a player because at the end of the day, depending on how our draft goes, picking Rashawn Slater, if he falls to us, could still be a high value pick because you're still putting him, a blue chip player, in an offensive line that needs help. So I don't want to discount that. However, what I do want to point out is the things that other people are seeing that make sense to why we have some concern about who he could be at the next level. It's fair to do. It's a fair assessment.
All right.
And he does not.
He
really.
does not.
We're looking on YouTube right now, 33 inches, 13th percentile. He's strong though. His bench press is in the 96th percentile.
Mhm.
Definitely.
40-yard dash, very quick.
Really quick.
97.
I mean, getting to the set, his straight ahead running, like as far as, you know, pulling, or if he's got nobody over him and he's got to get to the linebacker, right, who's over there, whatever, he's probably the fastest out of anybody. And I mean, the times probably tell us that.
Which is important, especially when you consider the amount of run plays that you'll see from us this year with C-Mac. I think, you know, with a guy like him, C-Mac can have a humongous year. He and Taylor Moton, humongous year. Elfline, my guess is that if he's drafted, if he's going to play the left, it'll be, you know, him, Elfline at, I think, center maybe, or Cam, Taylor Moton, you know, rotational pieces everywhere.
Compared to everybody else.
Right. So you were not impressed, it doesn't sound like, with the Chase Young game.
I was.
Eberflus1 says, when scouting Rashawn Slater, how much do you take into account his good performance against Chase Young?
Now, and I hate to interrupt, but I just got to do this really quick because this is, you know, sometimes in life we can get fooled with these kind of moments. You know, he did put up good tape otherwise. This was his best tape, but I'm interested for you guys to hear his take on the Chase Young game.
In college,
it's good. It is good. You know, I don't sit, but like I think if you go back and watch the game in full, you go like, there's 4 plays. It's like 4 or 5 plays where it's like legitimate, like NFL off the edge pass rush. We're actually going to drop back and take a 5-step drop, and then quarterback's going to throw the ball in the pocket type of throws. It's very few that way, and so that fact, like. You know, I'll say Chase Young, his speed to power is not special at this point. He was more just speed and hands and doing that type of stuff.
Chase Young. And
so it's a little bit, it was a good matchup to me for what I would say for Rashawn Slater that way.
Here's what's interesting about what he just said. If you think about who he would face in the NFC South, Cam Jordan, Jason Pierre-Paul, consistently. Nobody on the Falcons. But the point is these are extremely, Ndamukong Suh, powerful defensive ends. Chase is very much finesse. That is true. Now, don't get me wrong. He's a strong player, but he's got some finesse to his game. Right? That's an interesting point.
It's the right matchup for him, okay? I know I'm going to sound like a little bit of a hater that way.
You still got him in your top 6.
But I still really good, and I understand that. I'm just not sure if he is a tackle, and I guess I just don't like the overall look of the guy. To me, this is one of the tougher evals of all the ones I have. I'm admitting that right now. I'm admitting it right now. I just want to make sure I got all the.
His father played in the NBA for 8 seasons, Reggie Slater.
Huh.
Power forward.
Wow.
You want to change your eval now?
No, I don't. I'm surprised his arms aren't longer with his dad being an NBA player. But
facts.
Yeah, I think that was, you know, I think really what I came down to, and here's just some of the things I wrote down, you know, at the end. You know, of course, I get off the ball well. Upon contact, I did find that he loses his driving of the legs at times. He can get a little too high, right? Pass feet, really good. He's a little raw still. Doesn't know how to punch or use his arms or hands to stop pass rushers all that well. I thought that was one thing. And again, I don't know if that's really going to be any better in the NFL that way. Feet, of course, are really good. But I wrote anchor is a little bit of a question for me. And because he plays high as well and not being a big guy, you rarely get to see him on an island, like at times against legit pass rushers just coming off the edge, flying that way. And that to me was the big question. It's damn good. He's a first-round tackle. I wrote arm length will be the question, but the kid can play guard too. There's no.
And that's the thing. Chris Sims is not saying anything different than what pro scouts are saying. So this is what scouts are saying per NFL.com, right? Strengths. Frame is compact and muscular with good lean mass. Starter since his freshman season and played both tackle spots. Good. Reps against Ohio State's Chase Young were very impressive. Confident in claiming his turf in head-up battles. Possesses excellent core strength and correct balance or contact balance, Big hands. Can snatch into an opponent's frame. Runs with choppy feet through his blocks. Smooth lateral flow coming off the ball. Upper body power allows for quick separation after punch. But here's some of the weaknesses, and they're not many. And again, I have to reiterate, these weaknesses that we see are only when you have questions about a team that has been dying for the left tackle spot for so long. And we've been making decision after bad decision after bad decision about the position, right? Some teams might see him as an inside player only because of arm length. Allow some separation at the punch point due to lack of length. Arms. Needs to play with better knee bend in space. Slight inconsistency maintaining inside hands and pass protection. Those are two things right there that can be coached out of him, right? Hands ride a little too long, a little too high on down blocks, causing him to lose some power. Has some issues getting pad level low in short yardage situations. The last three that I just read to you are all coachable. I could coach every single one of those situations. Here's what I can't coach. Allows some separation at the punch point due to lack of length, arm length. Some teams might see him as an inside player only because of arm length. I can't teach you longer arms. So that's going to be a real concern. Is it enough for us to pass on him at number 8? I don't think so, personally. But these are things that we do have to take into consideration, and that's the whole point of this video. Man, I thank you guys for joining me so much. Hey, I want to hear what you guys have to say. What do you think? You think Rashawn Slater is a lock at number 8 if he's there? Do you think we take another player? Personally, I think another guy that could, be there. A lot of people would see it as a reach. Christian Darrisaw, who knows if he'll be there? But the point is, Rashawn will be there, but who knows if we would, reach for a Christian Darrisaw. But if he's your guy, not necessarily a reach. But enough of what I have to say. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Like and subscribe. And we appreciate you guys so much. It's One Carolina. Keep pounding.
Wake up in the morning, I'm focused in on what really matters. And these rappers still chatter as if it even matters. Stack money like books, I'm on my next chapter. Cause at the end of the day, what are you really after? 5% of my salary goes to charity. I'm engaged to success. Who'da known it would marry me?